The Greedy Zamindar. Hard work and truth never fail anyone, but greed and wickedness doom you forever. Read this story about a greedy Zamindar and hard-working Sarju. Rajnath took pride in being called the village Zamindar, even though he stayed in the city. He'd like to come once every month to have a look at the fields and talk to his manager, Keshav. One day he saw a field on the way and was struck by the beauty of the standing crop. "What is this you have planted here?" asked Rajnath, with the pride of a Zamindar who owned such a fine plot of land. "Sir, this is not our land. Our land begins there." Keshav pointed out to the nearby field. Rajnath noticed that the crops on the nearby fields were poor in comparison, and the plants looked weak and wasted. "Why is the crop on this land so good?" asked Rajnath. "This is very fertile land," replied Keshav. "Its location is such that the rainwater brings all the silt from the uplands and deposits it here, renewing the fertility of the land." Rajnath was impressed. "Who owns this piece of land?" he asked. "This belongs to Sarju," answered Keshav. "He owns only these 2 acres in the entire village, and he spends most of his time here." "Send him to me," said Rajnath. He appeared the next day at the house of the Zamindar. "You have a fine field, Sarju," said the Zamindar. "It is all God's grace and your kindness, Zamindar Sahib," said Sarju, happy at hearing his land being praised. "I called you here, Sarju, because I liked the land very much. How much are you willing to sell the land for? I wish to buy it." "Sell the land? No, Zamindar Sahib. The land is my livelihood. It is like a mother to me. I can't sell my mother." "Not even if I wanted to buy it?" asked Rajnath, getting angry. "But you have so much land all around the village," protested Sarju. "Why are you so obsessed with my small plot of land?" This gave the Zamindar another idea. "I will give you thrice the amount of land somewhere else in the village, in place of the 2 acres. Now that Sarju had agreed to the deal, Rajnath felt he had been too liberal. "Yet," he told Keshav, "in order to safeguard my reputation, I have to fulfill my promise." He spoke to his manager. "Keshav," he said, "is there any part of my land which is presently uncultivable and barren?" Keshav replied, "Yes, there is some land on top of the hills, which does not have any irrigation facility. The soil is also very thin there and full of boulders." This, for some reason, made Rajnath very happy. "Give it to Sarju," he ordered. "Give him 6 acres there on top of the hills." Sarju was shocked when he heard this. "But that land is not fit for anything, Sahib. What will I do with it?" Rajnath was very rude. "I don't know, and I don't care what you will do with it. We had reached an agreement that day, and I hope you are man enough to abide by it." Sarju felt tricked, but decided to accept the infertile barren land. Rajnath was pleased to have acquired such a good piece of land in return for a worthless piece of land. He was so happy at this incident that he didn't return to the village for more than a year, and would get news of the village by telephone from Keshav. At times he would ask about Sarju. "What is that fool doing now?" Keshav used to say. "He is working on his new land." A year later, when he visited the village, Rajnath was shocked to see that the new land, which he had bought from Sarju, didn't have any crop standing. "What happened?" asked Rajnath. "The entire crop was attacked by pests," replied Keshav. "It seems as if Sarju had cast some sort of spell." This made Rajnath very angry. Sarju had tricked him. He directed his driver to go straight to Sarju's farm on the hills. There, another surprise awaited Rajnath. When he came to Sarju's farm, he found it to be green and lush with different crops. He couldn't believe his eyes. "Didn't you tell me that it was a barren land full of boulders and totally uncultivable?" he asked in anger. "It was all that and much more," said Keshav. "But this Sarju seems to know some black magic." "I will show him some of my own magic," shouted Rajnath as he walked into Sarju's hut. "You could have called me," said Sarju when he saw the Zamindar. "It is good that I came," replied Rajnath. "If I hadn't come, I wouldn't have known about your black magic. Tell me, where did you learn those filthy black magic tricks? I think I will call a village meeting and have you thrown out of the village." "Did Keshav tell you that I have used black magic?" asked Sarju. "What if he did?" replied Rajnath angrily. "Zamindar Sahib," said Sarju, "you have been misinformed. Even my previous land was not very fertile as many people thought it to be. It was my labor in the land which made it productive. I was disappointed when you gave me this land, but then I thought that no land is unproductive. I did have to work hard on this land. I picked the boulders from the fields, terraced the land, dug 2 wells, and God has been kind to me, because both my wells yielded water, and my health was good enough to undertake such heavy labor. Your crops failed because you were not here to take care of the land, and I think Keshav may not have acted very responsibly. He must be telling you the story of black magic to divert your attention from his own inefficiency." Rajnath realized that it was hard work that always yielded best results. A lesson well learnt. He sold off part of the land and gave away some of the land free to the villagers. He kept with him only as much land as he could manage well on his own.